Well, you've seen the billboards and the ads all over the place for He Gets Us. Next, you'll be meeting one of the driving forces behind that brilliant campaign. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I remember just before last year's Super Bowl, there was a lot of media hype around this He Gets Us campaign, and it was on the front pages of every newspaper in the country and leading some of the morning shows. And then you watched it and you understand what the campaign was all about. Well, one of the driving forces is in the studio right now, Phil Boone. He is the Senior Director of Generosity. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with that. I mean, I guess it was controversial for some reason, and I'm not even sure why it was controversial, but you literally got tens of millions of dollars in free advertising, didn't you?
Yes, that's true. You know, I think initially it was just the amount of money that was being spent to have 90 seconds. We had a 30-second spot in the first half and a 60-second spot in the second half. And the amount of money for that time on a Super Bowl is very expensive. And so we were criticized for that from some people.
Sure. Well, you've produced countless commercials. One of my favorites. Let's roll that now.
Great.
A rebel took to the streets. He recruited others to join him. They quit their jobs, left their families, and swore allegiance to him. They roamed the hood, challenged authority, and made a lot of people uneasy. Community leaders feared them. Religious leaders abhorred them. Law enforcement labeled them outlaws. We have to shut them down, they said. Get them off the streets. Protect our communities from these troublemakers. But they weren't part of a gang spreading hate and terror. They were spreading love.
Wow. And there are countless other commercials just like that. Phil, you're actually working with a local agency to produce these.
Yes, the Lerma agency, Pedro Lerma, they're just amazing, creative people, and it's a joy to work with that team.
Okay, when you sit down with this agency, do you guys kind of storyboard it, or how do you you pick the theme?
Well, there's been a lot of research done going back to, it was just an idea in March of 2021, and so after that, a great deal of research was done. And even today, we still survey 800 people every week. First of all, to ask people if they've seen the ads. And then secondly, depending on if they've seen it, then we have a series of questions to see how well it's communicating with people. Is it helping them in their life? Are they thinking more about Jesus? Are they talking more about Jesus? And so it's really helpful to determine. We write the ads for kind of what we call, borrowing a political term, the movable middle. And so about half of that movable middle are what we call open skeptics. And then about half of that are what we call cultural Christians. And so the cultural Christians are those that know about religion or God or that kind of thing, but they don't have a relationship with Jesus that has changed their life. Mm-hmm. And then the open skeptics are those that just really don't have an opinion. But as we show these ads, that's the point. It's so simple, Jeff, that we're just trying to get people, one way we put it is to come closer to Jesus and see that he does get us. He gets us, like that ad, that directly out of Scripture, not in the old way, but in the new way, like you just saw, to get people to realize, hey, Jesus, he went through what I went through. Betrayal or loneliness or having a teen mom, an unwed teen mom initially.
Yes.
And so to go through what that impact that had on him as a young man, a young boy. And so the point is to get people to come closer and look at the characteristics of Jesus and why people are attracted to Jesus.
Absolutely. We're going to pull up the website, and as we scroll down the website, I want to talk about the timing of the campaign because Pew Research came out with a survey that said that there are more people who do not go to church these days than do go to church. And it was the first time in the history of this nation that that was true. So when we talk about the unchurched, your campaign has a way of reaching people who would never go into a church, temple, synagogue.
Exactly. Yeah, we really are. Our first goal is to raise the respect and relevancy of Jesus in our nation. And in doing that, we want to connect people to the Jesus that walked the earth. And then they go to hegetsus.com. We call it raise their hand digitally. And we ask them primarily through chat. We say, hey, Jeff, if you were on that, we'd say, hey, Jeff, may we connect you to one of our ministry partners in your zip code or in your area. We don't yet have a ministry partner in every zip code in the nation, but that's our goal over the next 3 years. And so that's the whole idea. And at that point, then you literally are, through the technology platform, we call those people explorers when they say yes, and we connect them to a ministry partner. Sometimes it's a church and sometimes it's not. I mean, it's a ministry or a Celebrate Recovery or a home group, a community group. So it's really special.
I applaud you. My brother and father are both ministers, and I asked my father one time, I said, do you think Jesus would have used Twitter? And he, without flinching, he says, absolutely he would have. He used the only thing he had at the time, which was his voice. And he would make use of television, radio, Twitter, YouTube.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What's been some of the reaction that you've gotten so far?
Yeah, it's just been amazing. So at my church in Tarrant County, we actually receive explorers. And so, for instance, just last week, I had coffee with 2 of the explorers that came through the He Gets Us website. And then I was on the phone with 3 others. So in 1 week, we've got a team that helps to receive the explorers, but we match men with men and women with women. And we do what are called new media. So we do digital ads where we try to maximize search engine results. So when someone sees an ad, for example, about failed relationships or divorce or loneliness, then they're in the same way, they're led to where we can connect them to a ministry partner. And so it's just beautiful because, frankly, Jeff, we're surrounded by a nation of hopelessness. And we're trying to connect people to hope. And when we say hope, we don't mean a better attitude or a can-do spirit. We say hope. Hope is a person, and his name is Jesus.
Wow, and that's so powerful because I think that the nation is really being torn apart right now by politics and every other thing that you can imagine. And Jesus' message has held up for some 2,000 years.
Praise God.
What do you see for the next few years? Is this a campaign that you continue year after year?
Well, yes and no. So it remains to be seen. We've got a media spend plan through 2026. So already a plan and themes that would run through 2026. We're trying to sign up, frankly, by the end of 2026 to have 30,000 ministry partners receiving explorers. Today, we've got less than 2,500. Wow. So we got to get to work, and we're excited about that. But it's hard work, and it takes courageous leadership. So I'm hoping some viewers of this show will
Absolutely.
say, man, I want to help my church or my ministry help receive explorers.
Well, we've got a couple minutes left, Phil, so why don't we make this part the call to action? So
Okay.
if somebody wants to get involved either as a ministry partner or reach out to you, what's the process?
Yeah, so number one is I would recommend that you go to hegetsuspartners.com. So hegetsus.com is where we hope people go to raise their hand digitally. But for those that are interested in helping receive explorers, go to hegetsuspartners.com. There you can see all our major partners that help us and work with us. In addition to that, though, it's very simple to actually sign up to get some training. We do training online so that you can feel comfortable helping to receive explorers.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world. We're going to end with the website, which again is hegetsus.com. The great Phil Boone, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.